You don't belong in this elevator. I need you to step out now. Her voice cracked like glass harp, sudden, and meant to draw eyes. And it worked. Across the marble lobby of 325 Lexford Plaza, conversation stopped mid-sentence. A phone dropped. A latte wobbled on its saucer. Silence stretched thin, then thinner. At the center of it all stood a man in a black crew neck, calm, still, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a slim leather notebook. He didn't blink. The woman blocking the elevator, receptionist, corporate badge swinging, gray blazer pulled tight across her chest like armor. Her tone wasn't confused. It was certain. I said this is for executives only. You can use the service elevator at the back. This one isn't for contractors. She emphasized the last word like it was code for something else. The man stayed silent, steady, still inside the elevator, one foot gently holding the door open. His skin a shade dark, his expression a shade too composed for her comfort. I don't think you understand. She snapped louder now, eyes darting toward the security desk. I will call building security. You cannot just walk into a Fortune 100 headquarters and expect. That's when he spoke, calm, even, a voice with no tremble and no rush. I have a meeting on the 23rd floor. That was all. No explanation, no apology, just fact. And that's what scared her most. At the front desk, a junior associate paused mid-sip, slowly lowering his coffee. Something was wrong, not with the man but with the energy. With her, because this wasn't confusion. This wasn't procedure. This was assumption, draped in authority. And across the room, someone knew it. A young assistant near the ficus plant, half hidden. Phone angled slightly up, camera recording. Sir, the receptionist pressed again, voice shrill now. Hands in her hips like that made her taller. You either step out voluntarily, or I will have you removed. He didn't move. Not because he couldn't, but because he didn't have to. And in 20 minutes, everyone in this lobby would find out why. Before we dive deeper, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country below. And if you believe in dignity over perception, hit like and subscribe. These stories spark change, and we're honored to have you here. Now back to the man in the elevator. His name is Malcolm Reed, and today he wasn't here for a meeting. He was here for a reckoning. Malcolm Reed hadn't planned to be noticed. Not today. No press, no assistant, no name badge. Just him, a notebook, and a morning quiet enough to watch systems break themselves. That's what this was, a systems check, not of elevators or fact but of people. He came alone, on purpose. The black crewneck he wore, intentional, neutral, respectable, but forgettable. His slacks pressed, but not branded. Shoes polished, but not polished enough to scream boardroom. The only logo anywhere on him was embossed in soft leather. On the inside of his notebooker are holdings. He founded it 15 years ago, from the 3rd floor of a walk-up in Newark. Today, it sat atop 3 tower blocks, 12 countries, and $18 billion in assets. But in this lobby, this morning, none of that mattered. What mattered was the way she looked at him, the pause before she spoke, the assumption behind her tone. This building bore his company's name on the 10th through 23rd floors. But when the receptionist saw him step into the elevator, she didn't see an owner returning early. She saw a threat to routine, an anomaly in her algorithm of status and suits. And that's exactly why Malcolm was here. He'd received 3 complaints this month alone. Quiet ones, internal, all from junior staff, all black or brown, all describing some version of you don't belong here. Small infractions, misunderstandings, they were told, but Malcolm knew better. Disrespect rarely announces itself in full sentences. It moves in fragments and glances and tones. And who gets asked to step out? So he came early, no memo, no cameras, just a watch, just a feel. And now, the receptionist's voice had gone from firm to forceful. You can't just say you have a meeting. Anyone can say that. A young man near the back early 20s, maybe an intern watched with growing tension. He didn't speak. but his hand slipped into his pocket, phone camera already aimed. He didn't know who Malcolm was, but he knew something was wrong, and he knew better than to ignore the gut feeling. Malcolm glanced toward him. The young man gave the slightest nod. It was enough. Back inside the elevator, the doors began to inch closed again, but the receptionist shoved her hand in to force them open. "Sir, I'm not going to ask you again." Malcolm looked at her. Then, calmly, he stepped back, not in retreat but in preparation. He raised his notebook, tapped it twice, and whispered into the spine, "Carla, log everything. We're starting now." The receptionist's hand still hovered near the elevator's sensor, as if her presence alone could hold the doors apart, and for a moment it did. Then a voice rang out from the hallway behind the security desk. Sharp, brisk, laced with caffeine and confidence. "Is there a problem here?" All eyes turned. Jana Corbin, office manager. 12 years at R&R, none of them in silence. She approached like someone who was used to being obeyed, not questioned. Clipboard in one hand, tablet in the other, heel striking tile with metronome precision. The receptionist straightened, suddenly more alert. He tried to take the executive elevator without checking in. Johnny raised an eyebrow, scanned Malcolm once and then twice, still didn't recognize him. "I asked for ID," the receptionist added. He refused. Malcolm didn't speak. He didn't need to. Jana turned to him, expression practiced, firm. "Sir, you're not cleared for this elevator. I'll have to ask you to step away and wait downstairs." "I told her," Malcolm said evenly. "I have a meeting on the 23rd. Do you have a name for the meeting?" Malcolm just stared. It wasn't defiance. It was restraint. A breath. Then, slowly, he replied, "No, but the meeting has mine." Johnny squinted, trying to parse that. It didn't land it. So she fell back on what she knew best. Control. "I'm going to need to verify your credentials," she said. Building policy. From the corner, the intern watching Mark hushed slightly, his phone now clearly recording, hands trembling just enough to betray his adrenaline. But he didn't stop. He couldn't. This wasn't the first time he'd seen someone talk down in this lobby, but it was the first time he saw someone hold their ground. "I'll wait here while you do," Malcolm said calmly, not moving an inch. But Jana didn't move either. Her tone sharpened. "Sir, I'm not going to debate this in front of staff. Either you step away now, or I'll call security." The receptionist folded her arms like a soldier backing up her captain. "He wouldn't even say who he's here to see." "That's because," Malcolm said softly, "you didn't ask. You just assumed." And in that moment, the lobby shifted, not loud, not obvious, but a current, the kind that hums in floors and tightens the air. Marcus took a quiet breath and whispered, just loud enough to catch on Mick. "He's not the one out of place. They are." No one heard it yet, but they would, because what started as a refusal to exit an elevator was turning into something much bigger. Malcolm didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't cite policy. He didn't recite his resume. He simply stood there, anchored, unmoved, unbothered. Jana Corbin, still unaware of the landmine under her heels, took his silence as weakness. "Mistake number one. Security will be here shortly," she announced, loud enough for nearby staff to hear. A theater of authority, staged under fluorescent lights. Malcolm offered nothing in return or protest. No explanation. Just a soft breath through the nose and a slow blink. Like a man watching a fire build from sparks he'd already counted. Behind him, the elevator doors slid shut. Not in defeat, in delay. The receptionist stepped back with a smart choice. He turned his head slightly, just enough to meet her gaze, but didn't speak. She shifted uncomfortably. Power was supposed to land harder than that. At the edge of the lobby, Marcus held his phone lower now, but still recording. The angle caught everyone. Malcolm, Jana, the smug receptionist. He wasn't filming a man being difficult. He was filming a man being profiled. Jana pulled out her tablet and tapped furiously, searching for his name. punching in commands like keystrokes could validate instinct. "What's your full name again?" she snapped. Malcolm said nothing. She looked up. "If you're refusing to identify yourself, that's—" "I'm not refusing," Malcolm cut in, tone razor flat. "I'm choosing." A pause, then a line, crisp and cold. "There's a difference." Even Marcus flinched at that one. Jana blinked. For the first time, she felt it, a tension she didn't own, a silence she didn't control. He turned away from her casually, slowly, and walked toward the far side of the lobby. Calm steps, soft soles, like gravity had picked his side. He found a leather bench near the glass windows, sat, crossed one ankle over the other, opened his notebook, began to write. Not rushed, not rattled, like a man early to a meeting that was already his. And as the seconds passed, Jeanette's voice faltered, the receptionist's hands twitched. Even the security desk paused its movements, because something was wrong, and it wasn't the man on the bench. It started with a blink, then a whisper, then a red light. Marcus, the intern by the ficus, stopped pretending to scroll and started recording for real. Full screen, full sound, full context. His phone caught everything. The stillness of Malcolm on the bench, the tension tightening around Jeanette's clipboard, and the receptionist pacing behind the front desk like her reflection might back her up. From across the lobby, a woman in a rust-colored trench coat, mid-40s, consultant badge, looked up from her laptop. Her brow furrowed. She leaned over to the man next to her, whispered something. He turned his head, watched, sat straighter. Something was off, and not with him. Marcus whispered into the mic. He's just sitting there, not saying a word. And they called security. It wasn't angry. It wasn't dramatic. It was documentary. The kind of sentence that didn't need edits. Malcolm flipped a page in his notebook, calm as ever. Behind him, the elevator that started it all dinged quietly. No one boarded. Jana glanced nervously toward the entrance. Where were the guards? Why was this taking so long? The receptionist leaned in. Should I call again? Jana shook her head. Let's see what he does first. She still thought she was in control, that he had to act first. She didn't realize yet Malcolm wasn't reacting, was observing. From the left, a junior analyst stepped out of a conference room and froze mid-step. She recognized Malcolm, not from real life but from a Forbes profile 2 years ago. A deep dive on silent leadership, generational wealth, and the black founder who didn't take interviews. She whispered, "Oh my God, that's him." She pulled out her phone, not to record, to verify, to confirm what she already knew. Jana caught the movement and barked, "Can we help you with something?" The analyst flushed, "No, sorry." But she didn't leave. She stayed right where she was. Another witness, another silence breaking. And in that room, silence wasn't neutral anymore. It had shape, it had sides, and it was shifting. Jana tapped her tablet harder now. The screen didn't respond fast enough, and neither did her patience. "He's refusing to cooperate," she muttered, "still won't give his name." The receptionist hovered nearby, whispering back, "We can't just let him sit there like he runs the place." Jana snapped, louder this time. "That's exactly the problem. He thinks he does." That sentence hit the room like static. Marcus caught it on video, clear, clean, sharp. He didn't even need to zoom. His mic picked up the phrase perfectly. The analyst near the hallway gasped, barely audible, her eyes wide, her voice low. "She doesn't know." Another employee, mid-30s, tie loosened, coffee in hand, leaned against the pillar now. Not hiding, just watching. The receptionist turned toward Malcolm again, voice sharper now. "Sir, you've been told multiple times. You are in violation of guest protocol. If you don't vacate that area, we'll be forced to escalate." Malcolm didn't flinch. He simply closed his notebook, folded his hands over it, and looked at her. And what he said wasn't loud, wasn't even stern, but it stopped the room cold. "I was calm when you judged me. I was silent when you dismissed me. But now you're trespassing in your own assumptions." She blinked. "Excuse me." He leaned forward slightly. "You heard me. Keep pushing." Johnny raised her voice, heat finally rising. That's enough. Security to lobby A now. The overhead intercom clicked, static, then silence. Then, we're dispatching ETA for minutes. Marcus whispered to his mic, for minutes to fire her whole career. The elevator behind them dinged again. A client stepped out, saw the scene, immediately stepped back in. The junior analyst, now certain of who Malcolm was, stepped forward 1 inch, just enough. She didn't speak, not yet, but her body did, and Malcolm noticed. Then the receptionist tried one last time to assert herself. She pointed at the bench like it was a threat. Sir, last warning. Malcolm leaned back in his seat, one leg crossed, still composed. I'll wait. For what? She snapped. His answer was simple. For you to figure out who I am. She reached for him. Not metaphorically, not with words. Physically. The receptionist's fingers brushed Malcolm's forearm not gently, not hesitantly, but with a full weight of assumption, as if touching him would correct him. As if she had authority over his very presence. Sir, I'm escorting you out now, she declared. The moment contact was made, the lobby inhaled, and Malcolm stood, slowly, with control so complete, it made the gesture more threatening than any shout. He didn't yank his arm back. He didn't recoil. He simply rose full height, full presence, full power coiled in silence. I wouldn't do that again, he said, just loud enough. The receptionist stumbled back half a step, realizing to Lateef that something had shifted. That whatever script she thought she was following was now burning. Assault, a voice said from the side. It was Marcus. Not whispering this time. Not hiding. Not asking. Did you just put your hands on him? The analyst, bolder now, stepped forward. I saw it too. The coffee guy raised his phone. Jeanette's voice cracked under pressure. Let's all calm down. This is being misunderstood. No, Malcolm said. It's being documented. Then he pulled out his phone, not for video, not for show, but for activation. He tapped one number, just one. Carla, he said quietly. We've reached trigger point. Initiate protocol silver. On the other end, a crisp voice answered. Confirm. Live verification in progress. Identity tag activated. Video sensing now. Jeanette's tablet buzzed once. Then again. Then it froze. A red icon blinked across the top. Founder override level 1 authority. Her eyes widened. Her mouth opened. But no words came out. Malcolm turned to the receptionist. You said I don't belong in this elevator, he said, steady. Then tell me, why does my name control it? And just like that, the air snapped. The lobby wasn't a lobby anymore. It was a courtroom, and every bystander had just become a witness. The silence broken not with voices, but with notifications. Jeanette's tablet buzzed again. Then the receptionist's desktop blinked. A flashing banner cut across both screens in bold, unforgiving font. Our executive override engaged. Level, founder. Johnny stared at it like it had cursed her by name. No, this can't be. She tapped, swiped, but nothing responded. Behind the desk, the receptionist's screen froze completely, cursor spinning helplessly. She tried logging out, denied. Tried again, denied. Malcolm stood still in the center of it all, no longer needing to say anything. The system was speaking for him now. Carla's voice came through the phone again, clear, firm, controlled. Mr. Reed, access logs confirm your scheduled presence. Your security clearance is active, and building-wide staff visibility is sensing. Proceed, Malcolm said softly. Carla didn't hesitate. Jana Corbin is listed as office manager. Receptionist tag logged as Aiden Simmons. Both flagged an incident report video timestamp, sent to internal audit. Initiating lockdown of administrative access now. Jana gasped. What are you doing? Malcolm turned to her, his voice even devoid of anger, but not of consequence. I'm giving you the same courtesy you refused me. Her eyes darted toward the security desk, still no help. Marcus's camera caught it all. So did 3 others now filming openly. The room had changed sides. The analyst finally stepped forward, voice shaking but audible. His name is on this building. You put your hands on the owner. The receptionist sputtered. We didn't know. That was the point, Malcolm said. You never asked, you just assumed. Carla's voice returned. Mr. Reed, your executive assistant is en route. Board has been notified. Legal is on standby. Should I proceed with termination prep? Malcolm looked once more at Jonna. She was pale now, not out of fear but from realization. The moment her authority ended wasn't when he raised his voice. It was when he never had to. Yes, he said, proceed. Behind him, the elevator doors dinged. This time, no one dared to move, because the man they tried to remove was removing them. I think, Malcolm said slowly, it's time we stop pretending. He stepped forward, not in anger, in certainty. The phones didn't drop. They rose quietly, reverently. Even those who hadn't filmed before now lifted their screens, not out of spectacle, but to record a moment they knew wasn't just about today. He reached into the side pocket of his blazer, pulled out a slim black card, tapped it once against Jonette's frozen tablet, and just like that, the screen unlocked. A full profile bloomed across the display. Malcolm Reed, founder and CEO and our holdings. Executive access, level 1 building owner. Johnny staggered back one step. The receptionist gasped, no. Malcolm's voice remained steady. It's ironic, he said. I built this company from nothing. Walked into banks where they laughed at my name. Signed leases with no co-signer. Raised capital in rooms where no one looked like me. He turned, slowly, to face everyone in the lobby. And today I walked into my own building and was told to take the back elevator. A hush. No one breathed. Marcus whispered into his mic. He's the owner, the Malcolm Reed. The analyst clutched her badge like it might shatter. The coffee guy lowered his phone, eyes wide. Even security Irvington minutes to Lada froze at the entrance. One officer recognized him immediately and didn't take another step. Malcolm looked back at Jonna. You asked me to prove who I am. He paused, let the weight settle. But the real question is, did you think I had to? And just like that, power re-entered the room, not with force, but with truth. The kind that doesn't yell. It just stands and watches everything else fall silent. Jonette's clipboard slipped from her hand. It hit the tile with a soft, hollow thud. The sound of authority losing its posture. A.O. Simmons, the receptionist, backed toward her desk like it could protect her. It didn't. Her screen still glowed. Access denied, restricted by executive command. She whispered, mostly to herself. I didn't know. But no one answered, because now, everyone knew. The security guard who had just stepped in young, wide-shouldered, already regretting the radio on his hip froze in place. Malcolm turned to him, gave a simple nod. Thank you, but I won't need removal today. The officer swallowed. Understood, sir. Phones were still recording, but now in awe, not accusation. A woman in a navy suit near the bench said aloud, this is what justice looks like. Quiet, precise. The analyst, voice cracking, looked at Jonna and said, you told him he didn't belong here, in a space he built. Jonna finally spoke, but her voice was hoarse, brittle. I didn't know who he was. And if I hadn't been, Malcolm asked, if I was just a black man and a crewneck, would you have still touched my arm? Called security? Stripped my identity down to your comfort level? No answer. Just silence and wide eyes. Marcus, camera steady now, turned it toward himself. I've interned here 6 weeks. I've watched who gets checked, who gets questioned. This isn't new. Today, it just got caught. Someone near the back clapped. Then again, then the room joining. Not thunderous applause, just the kind that rises from years of held breath. Malcolm didn't smile. He didn't nod. He just let it land. He looked at Simmons, then at Johnny, then simply said, this wasn't an incident. This was a habit, and it ends today. Malcolm raised the phone to his ear once more. Carla, he said, calm as steel. Proceed. Her voice returned instantly, crisp as a legal document. Yes, Mr. Reed HR has confirmed executive termination protocols. Jonna Corbin and Abigail Simmons are now locked out of all internal systems. Email, building access, and personnel directories revoked. A pause. Then, effective immediately, the receptionist gasped, "Wait please. I didn't know." "You chose not to know," Malcolm replied, not unkindly, just finally. "And now you get to live with that choice." Johnny tried to speak, but nothing came out. The confidence she wore like armor had turned to glass, and it was already broken. Carla's voice continued, now over loudspeaker echoing across the lobby. "This incident has been logged. Honor policy violation Tier 1. Footage is archived. Staff witness statements pending. Legal has been looped in for both dismissal and anti-bias compliance review." Malcolm turned to the young security officer. "Escort them out, please, calmly. No cuffs, just clarity." The officer nodded. Johnny looked at the crowd faces she once dismissed without thought, now watching her without mercy. Abigail reached for her desk chair. "No," Malcolm said. "Don't pack. There's nothing left here that belongs to you." The elevator behind them dinged again. Nobody moved. Then, from the side, Marcus whispered to his mic, "Two women just got fired for mistaking a black CEO for a trespasser. And it happened right in front of the company name." The analyst, no crying, quietly said, "I've waited years to see someone like him do this. Not scream. Not threaten. Just end it." Malcolm took a slow breath, then looked around the room. "You don't fix culture with slogans," he said. "You fix it with consequences." Johnny was gone. Simmons, too. The lobby door closed behind them with a hush that said more than any slam ever could. And for the first time in hours, the lobby felt like it belonged to the right people. The lobby was still. Not quiet still. A different kind of silence. The kind that lingers after something true has been said. The kind that doesn't need to shout to echo. Malcolm stood at the center of it. Black crew neck, leather notebook, eyes calm, but unflinching. He scanned the room once. Marcus lowered his phone. So did the analyst. Others followed it out of shame, but out of respect. Malcolm didn't raise his voice, didn't hold up the badge, didn't say "I told you so." He simply said, "I didn't need to record what happened here today, because I've lived this scene my entire career." He paused. "This wasn't the first time I've been mistaken for less, but it was the last time someone mistook my silence for weakness." He turned slightly, addressing the room, not just the staff, but the interns, the clients, the bystanders who had found themselves part of something they hadn't planned. "You all witnessed what happens when perception overrules principle, and now you've witnessed what happens when principle fights back." Then he looked at Marcus, voice softer now. "Next time, don't wait. If you see it, say it. Silence doesn't protect you. Action does." Marcus nodded, eyes glassy, shoulders squared. Malcolm looked one last time toward the glass doors, where Johnny and Simmons had disappeared minutes earlier. Then he said it. "I don't need to go viral. I don't need an audience, because I didn't come here to trend." He held up his notebook, tapped the corner lightly. "I came here to transform." And with that, he walked toward the executive elevator, the one they told him he didn't belong in. The doors opened without resistance. He stepped inside. No flourish, no music, just purpose. And as the doors began to close, he looked out on last sentence hanging in the air like a verdict. "You mistook me for a problem, but I was the system check." The elevator closed, and justice ascended with it.